You ever taste something so simple, it takes you straight back to a time when life just felt different? Back in the 1960s, breakfast wasn't about fancy menus or big money. It was about making do with what you had. And somehow, those humble little meals tasted better than anything today. Funny thing is, most of those breakfasts, they've all but disappeared. But I guarantee, at least one of these is going to bring back a memory you didn't even know you still had. Number 1, fried egg sandwich. Now this was the kind of breakfast that showed up when the cupboard was looking a little bare, but nobody was complaining. You'd hear that skillet start to crackle early in the morning, maybe still a bit of bacon grease sitting in there from the night before. Crack an egg right into it and it would sizzle up real nice, edges turning golden and just a little crispy, while that yolk stayed soft and rich. Then came the bread, just plain white bread, nothing fancy. You'd lay that egg right on top, sprinkle a pinch of salt and maybe some black pepper if it was round. Some folks like to add a little mayo or even ketchup, whatever made it stretch a little further. Fold it together, press it down in your hands, and take that first bite while it was still warm. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't expensive, but somehow it was exactly what you needed to start the day right. Number 2, cornmeal mush. Now this one right here, if you grew up in the 60s, you definitely remember this sitting on the stove. Cornmeal mush was about as simple as it got. Just cornmeal, water, and a pinch of salt. That's it. You'd stir it slow, let it thicken up into this warm, creamy pot of goodness that could feed a whole family without costing hardly a thing. Some folks ate it straight like that, hot and soft, spooned right into a bowl. But the real treat was the next morning. You'd take the leftovers, slice them up, and fry them in a pan till the outside got nice and crispy, while the inside stayed soft. Then maybe drizzle a little molasses or syrup on top if you had it. Sweet, savory, crispy, soft, all in one bite. Didn't look like much, but back then it filled bellies and kept folks going strong all day long. Number 3, biscuits and gravy. Mornings used to start a whole lot earlier back then, and breakfast had one job: to keep you full till the work was done. In a lot of homes, especially across the South, biscuits and gravy were a regular sight on the table. Not because it was fancy, but because it made the most out of very little. Biscuits were often made from scratch when there was time, but plenty of folks used what they had on hand, even leftover ones from the day before. Then came the gravy, built right in the same pan from whatever grease was left. A little flour stirred in, some milk added slow, and if there happened to be bits of sausage, well, that was a bonus, not a guarantee. That gravy would come together thick and smooth, poured generously over the biscuits until every bite was soft and rich. It wasn't about taste alone. It was about getting enough in you to face a long day ahead. And somehow, it always did the trick. Number 4, creamed chipped beef. There was a time when this dish showed up on the table not because folks loved it, but because it was reliable, cheap, and always there when you needed it. Creamed chipped beef was a staple in many homes, especially in families connected to the military. Folks even had a nickname for it. Not the nicest one either, but it stuck around for a reason. You'd start with dried beef, sliced thin and a little salty, cooked down in a pan. Then came the sauce, just butter or leftover grease, flour and milk, stirred slow until it turned into a thick, creamy gravy. That mixture would get poured right over toast, plain white bread most of the time, laid flat on a plate. No decorations, no extras, just straight, simple food. It wasn't something kids always got excited about, but it filled you up, stretched a small pantry, and got breakfast on the table without much fuss. And back then, that was more than enough. Number 5, Scrapple. If you walked into certain kitchens back then, especially up in Pennsylvania country, you might have seen something in a pan that folks today wouldn't even recognize.
Scrapple wasn't about looks, it was about not wasting a single thing. After butchering, families would take whatever bits were left, pork scraps, trimmings, cook it all down, then mix it with cornmeal and spices. Once it's set, it turned into this firm loaf that could be sliced up whenever needed. Come morning, you'd cut a few pieces, lay them in a hot pan, and let them fry till the outside got real crisp, almost crunchy, while the inside stayed soft and full of flavor. Some folks ate it plain. Others added a little syrup or ketchup, depending on what they liked. It wasn't pretty, and outsiders didn't always understand it, but for the families who grew up on it, Scrapple was tradition, and more than that, it was proof that nothing in the kitchen ever went to waste.
Number 6, egg in a hole. Some mornings didn't leave much time for cooking, especially when kids were getting ready for school and parents were already halfway out the door. That's where this little trick came in. You take a slice of bread, cut a hole right in the middle, sometimes with a glass, sometimes just by hand, then drop it into a hot pan with a bit of butter or leftover grease. Crack an egg right into that hole and let it cook all together in one piece. The bread would toast up golden and crisp, soaking in all that flavor, while the egg cooked right in the center, yolk soft, edges set just right. Flip it once, maybe twice if you liked it firmer, and that was it. No extra dishes, no wasted ingredients, just one pan in a few minutes. It felt a little special too, especially for kids, like breakfast had a bit of fun to it for once. Simple, clever, and somehow a whole lot more memorable than it had any right to be. Number 7, rice and milk. Not every home had eggs or meat sitting around in the morning, but a whole lot of folks had rice left over from the night before, and nothing went to waste. Rice and milk was one of those quiet, simple breakfasts that showed up without much fuss. You take that leftover rice, warm it up in a pot with some milk, and let it soften into this creamy, comforting bowl. A little sugar if you had it, maybe a sprinkle of cinnamon on good days, but plenty of times it was just plain and warm. It wasn't meant to impress anybody. It was meant to fill you up and get you through the morning. Kids would sit at the table, slowly spooning it up while the house was still half asleep, steam rising from the bowl, everything calm and quiet for a moment. No rush, no noise, just a simple start to the day. And somehow, that's the part people remember most. Number 8, Redeye Gravy. In some kitchens, breakfast started with whatever was left in the pan after supper. And that's exactly where this one came from. Redeye Gravy was born out of pure necessity, especially in the South. After frying up a slice of country ham, you didn't throw out that salty, flavorful grease sitting in the skillet. You kept it right there. Then came the coffee. Yep, just a splash of black coffee poured straight into that hot pan. It would sizzle up, loosen all those brown bits, and turn into a thin, dark gravy with a bold, sharp flavor. That gravy got spooned over biscuits or even plain bread, and soak it up bite after bite. It wasn't thick, it wasn't fancy, and it sure wasn't for everybody. But for folks who grew up on it, that taste was strong, unforgettable, and tied to mornings that started long before the sun came up. Number 9, coffee soup. There were mornings when there just wasn't enough to go around, and somehow folks still found a way to make breakfast out of almost nothing. Coffee soup was exactly what it sounds like, but it meant more than that. You'd take a cup of hot black coffee, pour it into a bowl, then tear up pieces of stale bread and drop them right in. Let it soak for a moment till the bread softened up, almost like a thick, warm mash. If there was a little sugar, you'd add it. Maybe even a splash of milk if times were a bit better, but plenty of folks had it plain. It wasn't a meal you bragged about. It was a meal you made when you had to stretch what little you had. Still, People remember sitting there, spoon in hand, that warmth hitting you on a cold morning, doing the best with what was in the kitchen. And somehow, it got the job done.
Number 10, fried cornmeal with molasses. By the time the week was running low and groceries were stretching thin, this was the kind of breakfast that showed up on the table. It started with cornmeal, the same basic staple nearly every household kept around. Mixed with water and a pinch of salt, then cooked down till it thickened up. After that, it was spread out, left to set, and sliced into pieces. Come morning, those slices hit a hot pan, frying up till the outside turned golden and crisp, with that warm, soft center still inside. But what really made it stand out was the molasses. Dark, thick, and just sweet enough, poured right over the top, soaking into every bite. It wasn't expensive, it wasn't fancy, but it had a kind of sweetness that felt like a small reward at the end of a hard week. And for a lot of folks, that was more than enough to start the day. Now tell me, how many of these took you back? Maybe to your mama's kitchen? Maybe to a time when things were tight, but somehow life still felt full. These breakfasts weren't just food. They were stories, memories, and a whole lot of heart. If even one of these made you smile or brought back a moment you hadn't thought about in years, go ahead and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe, because we've got plenty more memories coming your way. Until next time, take it easy and don't forget where you came from.